do with it. So we decided to make a documentary, and it was called Michael Jackson, The Trial and Triumph of the King of Pop. And it really, in real time, it tells you, because it tells you why Michael Jackson was found not guilty on every single count. First, there were 10 counts, and then they didn't feel like they had a strong enough case. And then there were 4 extra counts of Michael Jackson added on to the case, and Michael was acquitted 14 out of 14 times. So the reason why I am qualified to speak on this is because I've been studying Michael Jackson as a profession now for 14 years. And I have written a book about Michael Jackson. I've done 4 documentaries on Michael Jackson. I have thousands of posts. I have hundreds of videos on YouTube. So I guess I could be called a Michael Jacksonologist.
Yeah, and I like that. That's super cute, actually. Yeah, so I want to make sure people understand. I was actually, I think I misspelled his last name, which is why I wasn't able to bring it up before you stopped talking. But give us a little backstory as it relates to this Wade guy, because he's been in and out of the news. And I just do not understand why Ray. Oh, I know why. I could, because I spell his name Robertson, and it's Robson, Robson. Yeah, can you tell us what you know about him? And then what I'd like to do is just break this article up that was that I found on Variety.com, because I'm trying to understand, why would Oprah do this? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like,
and we're going to get to Oprah. We're going to get to Oprah because. Yes, we're going to get to Oprah. I wrote some, with the first audio that she played, I wrote some notes down, so I'm ready for Oprah. But there's so much before Oprah, you know, and I think we're doing a disservice by not giving the backstory. There's 2 guys. Right. There's Wade Robson and there's James Safechuck, okay? Safechuck met Michael in December 1986. He was doing a Pepsi commercial where Michael didn't hire him, Pepsi did. And they did a commercial together. Well, through that, they became friends, you know, and Michael liked to mentor young, talented kids, and he always wanted to tell them about some of the downfalls of being a child celebrity. So he befriended a lot of young kids for that reason. And he mentored them. He was a friend to them. He wanted to Michael also wanted to relive his childhood. He, you know, it's kind of like he's Benjamin Buttons, where he was older when he was younger, and then when he got older, he became younger. But and so with Wade Robson, he met Michael in 1990. And Michael was performing in Australia because Wade is from Australia, and he was a 5-year-old little boy. And he, it was 88, one of the years. He was 5 years old when Michael finally first knew him, and he won a dance contest. And the prize for the dance contest is you can meet Michael Jackson. So they got to meet Michael Jackson. He was 5 years old. He got to meet him. So then time passed, and something else happened, and the mother was a kind of an aggressive stage mom, and they got back in touch with Michael, and then they became friends like around 1990. Michael had invited them out to Neverland, and Michael was helping Wade with his career and thought he was talented and wanted to mentor the boy again. And the grandparents came, and the mother and the father and the brother and the sister came, and that's what people don't realize. There were whole families there. It wasn't just Michael and one kid. And Michael showed them the time of their life, and then the parents left Wade there, according to Leaving Neverland, left Wade there for 5 days. And you got to remember, everything in this documentary has not been fact checked. So we don't know what's true and what's not true in Leaving Neverland, because it's only words intertwined with footage of them with Michael, because Michael did know him and they were friends, but Michael was friends with the entire family. So both of them now are claiming, even though they for 30 years, they said Michael never molested them. All of a sudden, both of them break down around the same time and say Michael did molest them, and then they want to sue the estate and get rich and never have to work and finance their movies and finance whatever other dreams that they have, you know. And they remember Jordy Chandler, which was the first accuser, and the father is the one that sued Michael Jackson. He's the one that asked Michael to finance a movie, because he was a dentist who wanted to get into the movie business. So there was Men in Tights, and he wanted to do that. It was Men in Tights 2, I think, and he wanted Michael to finance it. Michael said no, and then he wanted Michael to build a wing onto his house, an extra wing, bedroom, bathroom, hallway on his house. Michael said no, and he got mad and he sued. Michael was really attracted to the little boy's mother. Her name was June. She was a biracial woman. She was Black and Asian. And Jordy, a lot of people think Jordy is white. Jordy is not. His father was Jewish, white, but the mother was Black and Asian. And Michael really had a crush on June, and that's what I found out in the 2005 trial, that he really liked her. He was buying her all the jewelry. And there was also a sister there, so they were always together as a family. So, and Michael was being a mentor and doing what he thought was the right thing to do. His father was a father. No matter how stern Joe was, he was a dad, and he was a manager, and he took care of those boys, took care of that family. And so Michael wanted to kind of just give back, and he was friends. So anyway, Michael was talked into settling the first case because Michael was on tour when the allegation came down. Michael had to cancel his tour, and all tours have cancellation insurance. So with the money that Michael got from canceling his tour because he was addicted to pain pills that his doctors addicted him to, he was able to cancel and able to get insurance. Well, since he had the insurance money, they talked him into settling. Okay, and there's a signed affidavit by Michael Jackson's lawyer, Brian Oxman, that said the insurance negotiated and paid that settlement. So they became a part of it because it was not only the drugs, but it was also the stress that he was under for the allegations. So the insurance wanted to make sure that, it was legit, that the reason for canceling was a payable reason. So they investigated, and that's why Michael Jackson paid that first thing. But then Evan Chandler got greedy, and it was a confidential settlement. Evan Chandler got greedy, and a few years later, he sued Michael Jackson again for $60 million, okay, because the money that they got, I don't know if it's 10, 15, 20, 22, it's somewhere in there, okay, $1 million. So the father was greedy, and he decided to sue Michael a few years later for $60 million because he said Michael broke the contract of confidentiality because Michael did the history album where Michael is saying, you did me wrong, Tom Sneddon, and all this other stuff. But that didn't work because it was not the breach of the terms of the confidentiality agreement, which means you can't discuss the terms of the agreement. Didn't say you can't express how upset you are. You know what I mean? So he lost that case. So with the two guys, and then the 2005 case was just ridiculous. That Michael spooned the boy in bed and accused of showing some porn, and that was a straight extortion attempt because they went to the same lawyers as the first guy did. Didn't go to the police, went to the lawyers. But since the settlement stopped that lawsuit, and what's very, very important, with the first allegation, he still had 3 years to file criminal charges. And back at the first allegation, 2 grand juries refused to indict Michael Jackson. They took pictures of his penis and his body twice, okay, because the boy described a circumcised penis, but Michael was uncircumcised, and the boy said there were spots on the penis, but the spots did not match. Okay, and I don't know why Wade and them were so stupid not to bring that up. And you know why I don't think they brought it up? Because no kid would want to have sex with a man that's spotted up. That's unattractive. So they wanted to make it seem like it was man-boy love, and Michael was so attractive, and nothing nasty was about it as an excuse why they kept going back. I mean, so it's all.
Where do you think that they got that idea? I mean, how did they know that he had spots down there anyway? Like, I was always
because Michael had vitiligo. It was, but Michael had vitiligo.
I mean, but they're
okay?
kids. Did the parents plant that in their head? How would they know?
That's right. Michael had vitiligo, period, okay? It was brought up in the 2005 trial. There's plenty of pictures of Michael changing colors and spots all over his body. They knew. And when you look up vitiligo, it's not hard, but you got to remember, Evan is a doctor. He's a dentist. So when you look up, and what do? They look up ailments. Vitiligo starts at the penis. That's one of the main places that it starts. It tells you that like within the first 3 or 4 paragraphs when you look up vitiligo, it starts in the genital area. So what he was doing was he was trying to prove his case because he wanted to get paid, right? So as a doctor, you want to do research, right? It's just that simple, but the spots didn't match. And it's obvious that Michael had the vitiligo because Michael tried to cover it up until around the 90s, okay? He tried, he was embarrassed, he was ashamed, he had the bald scalp and then the nose jobs and then the vitiligo, he was very self-conscious about how he looked. And so for Wade and Jimmy not to bring up the vitiligo, and Oprah too, let me tell you, when Oprah interviewed Michael in 1993, and it was the most highest rated interview at that time, she asked him about his skin tone, and he said he had vitiligo, and she said, when did it start? And he said between Off the Wall and Thriller. So that's between the late 70s and the early 80s. Well, vitiligo is a long degenerative disease. It starts in one place and then it just kind of grows and it just kind of moves all over the body until eventually it takes over your whole body and all your pigmentation is gone. But that's the goal of vitiligo. That's the goal of the disease, to take away your pigmentation. And so in 86 and in 90, Michael had a lot of vitiligo, okay? And there's no way that they could be naked and nude and oral sex and anal penetration and all this other stuff and fingers up the butt. And this is what was in the documentaries without seeing the vitiligo. And that would be a part of their memory process. You see what I mean? If they ever saw Michael naked. They never did.
Right. What a risk they were taking, trying to be so descriptive. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's not like the marks would move. So, wow.
No, they didn't mention vitiligo.